When I appeared at the banquet in a formal suit, I was actually confused. It was just the previous second, our wedding night with Zekshan. He had some alcohol and coaxed me into lying on the bed. Don't move. The man who was usually quiet almost wore me out. The next second, I was standing here, shivering from the ample air conditioning. I instinctively grabbed Zekshan's sleeve, like a whisper in a dream. Honey, it's so cold. The surroundings suddenly fell into silence. Blinding lights came into view, and the ambiguous feelings gradually faded. I gradually made out the people around me. My heart suddenly jumped with alarm. Is today our wedding night? Why are there so many people? Sorry, I have to leave. A faint voice came from above. The next moment, I was taken into the kitchen. A hand suddenly gripped my neck, and cold fingers gradually tightened. A familiar and cold voice came. Miss Shu, are you now humiliating me in a different way? The moment I saw his face, I was stunned. It was Zekshan, much younger. His eyes no longer had the heavy, cruel look from the passage of time. They were left with a straightforward indifference. It seems, have we met before? I inexplicably looked at the wall clock. Click. The numbers jumped past midnight. 12 o'clock. Date auto updates. The time is displayed from 10 years ago. Thoughts surge like waves in the mind. I somehow unexpectedly went back to 10 years ago. At this time, Zekshan had not yet become a formidable business magnate. He had not yet been almost killed by the machinations of various families. Yet, thinking about the completely corrupted Zekshan 10 years later, I still shuddered. At that time, City A had already become his possession. Within just 3 years, several families were ruined by him. Only the Shu family. Zekshan spared the Shu family, and ordered the Shu family to send me for an arranged marriage. I spent 3 years with him. I witnessed with my own eyes how he gradually became brutal and crazy. However, on the night before the wedding, I found Zekshan's suicide note. This madman actually wanted to destroy his own business empire with his own hands, dragging everyone to die with me. So, I took advantage of the wedding night and got him drunk, hoping to persuade him to leave me some inheritance. The result was not even spoken, and it appeared here, at this moment, looking at this young face. My heart secretly jumped with joy. What could be better than going back before the villain was fully formed? Of course, before he turns evil. Run as far away as you can. I hadn't even come to my senses when the door was suddenly smashed open. A few young men leaned against the door, smiling in a sinister way. Zekshan, you're so high and mighty, wanting to climb the Shu family's ladder. Where's the security guard? Get him out of here. In my previous life, I was just an observer, standing in the crowd watching all this. But after going through so much, I realized how painful those words bastard, born with a mother but no mother were. After all, my parents had left long ago. Zekshan looked down, his eyes cold and indifferent, as if he had long since become accustomed to it. I picked up a fork and threw it at them. Shut up. With the sound of broken cups and dishes, the others fell silent. Would you dare say these words in front of my brother? They only then remembered that our family's elders had also passed away. Saying these words in front of my brother, they don't want to live anymore. When the few of them got up, they still muttered discontentedly. His father went to prison, his mother died, and the whole family didn't pay their debts. What do you expect him to be? Lara Shu, I advise you to stay away from this natural-born troublemaker. This was the first time I had heard about Zekshan's background, and I was momentarily stunned. His parents weren't the ones who died from illness. Looking back into Zekshan's cold, emotionless eyes, I couldn't help but take a step back, collided with the door. Zekshan's eyes were tinged with mockery. Afraid, my palms were sweaty. No, not at all. Zekshan slowly approached me and finally cornered me. Then what should I say for you? I think it's annoying. Can't I? My brother has always taught me like that. Zekshan's eyes darkened. Then hasn't your brother taught you not to be too kind? He saw me terrified and pale, and then straightened up. I received your brother's challenge. I saw the arrogant big characters on it, and my eyes went black. What is this? My desire to survive made me snatch the challenge letter and tear it to pieces. My brother said he gives up. Zekshan curled his lips into a scornful smile, his eyes sharp as a knife. Is that so? Do you know what the stakes are? The banquet ended. And Zekshan took me home. At this moment, watching Zekshan locking the door, I anxiously wrapped myself in a blanket and curled up in the corner. My phone is dead. Can you call my brother for me? Zekshan gave me a cold look and said, no, who would have thought that this time, my brother would bet everything he has. And he even made a bold statement, if I lose, you can take my underpants. But Zekshan didn't want his underpants, he wanted his sister, which is me. My brother is currently abroad and cannot do anything about it. Moreover, he has had a long-standing grudge against Zekshan. People outside say that my brother once stole Zekshan's study abroad opportunity. He even used connections to cut off Zekshan's scholarship. My brother said Zekshan was spreading rumors and reported him, leading to Zekshan's detention for a few days. In Zekshan's eyes, my brother was as bad as an enemy. Let's not mention him anymore. Zekshan went to the master bedroom. Midnight, a heavy rain was falling outside the window. I was half asleep and was startled awake by a figure outside the window. The few young heirs from the banquet were now peering through the glass. Scared, I rushed into the master bedroom. With a clap of thunder, I instinctively moved to Zekshan's side. What are you doing? Zekshan had a slight look of annoyance from being disturbed. The familiar body heat came through the thin shirt. I held his waist. There's someone outside. Zekshan didn't seem surprised. Before I could react, he pulled me towards him. His broad, warm hand gently ran down my neck, and my body trembled uncontrollably. Is that how your brother taught you to sneak into a man's bed at night? My ears were burning red, and for once, my mind had a rare flash of clarity. Are you bringing me back because you're afraid they'll retaliate against me? Zekshan's face darkened, and he flipped me over, pinning me beneath him. A cold lip brushed my earlobe, like a snake. Then that's how you're repaying me. Do you know what I'm about to do to you? I lay listlessly in his arm, without even trying to struggle. After all, I know all about Zekshan's abilities. A 10-year younger me couldn't possibly resist. Can you be a little lighter? I bit my lip and, for the first time, dared to ask him. I like it a little gentler. Zekshan stiffened. His face suddenly darkened. You wish. After saying that, he threw me on the bed and left without looking back. I had a good sleep for once. When I woke up in the morning, the rain had already stopped. I opened the door and found Zekshan having breakfast in the living room. Maybe he didn't bully me last night, making me feel that he was more approachable. I boldly approached and tentatively said, Today, I'm going home. Zekshan didn't respond to me. I said again, Can you not tell my brother about last night? I don't have a boyfriend yet. I'm afraid he won't be able to accept it suddenly. After rebirth, I'm still a bit afraid of my brother. I'd have to keep nagging him until my ears were numb. Zekshan stared at me coldly and sneered. What about these then? Below the half-open collar, a small scratch on the collarbone was visible. It was an accident when I was struggling last night. I nervously adjusted his collar to cover the scratch. Well, just pretend Ken didn't see it. Seeing Zekshan staring at me darkly without objecting, I carefully moved to the door. Then we're agreed. If you ignore me, I'll take it as your agreement. Saying that, I opened the door without looking back under Zekshan's dark gaze. Before I could react, a figure suddenly rushed past me. I lunged at Zekshan and threw a punch directly at his face. Zekshan, I'll fuck your mother. You dare to steal my girlfriend. The scene fell silent. I stared blankly at the person who suddenly appeared, feeling a bit lost. Boyfriend. I stared in terror at this ex-boyfriend who had broken up with me 800 years ago, realizing I was in trouble. How could I have forgotten about this? I rushed over to stand in front of Zekshan. Let's talk it out. Don't fight. Zekshan took a punch and spat out some blood. The faint warmth that was once there vanished without a trace. I nervously held his face. Are you okay? I'll take you to the hospital. He lowered his head to avoid my touch, suppressing the darkness in his eyes, and let out an ambiguous laugh. No boyfriend. Larashu, you really are very good. I broke up with him right away after finding out he cheated in our previous life. His name is Shu Mingqing, the young master of the Shu family. I cried for a long time because of that. This life. I just moved the time of the breakup forward. On the day of the breakup, Shu Mingqing sneered, like Zekshan. Ha, fine. You wait here. The next few days, rumors spread quickly within the circle. Many people even pointed fingers at Zekshan to their face. Larashu and Shu Mingqing are both getting engaged. So what's he doing coming in between? How disgusting. A kid who has a mother but not a mother, like a stray dog, always eyeing good things and not letting go. These malicious slanders made my heart tighten painfully. I know the feeling of being spoken about like this all too well. When my mother passed away, someone said that about me at school. After my brother found out, he beat that person up. I was still sad for a long time afterwards. I suddenly felt some guilt. After all, These things were caused by me. I had been looking for Zekshan for several days and finally found him at the entrance of a KTV on a rainy night. At that moment, I had just finished a class reunion, and when I turned around, I met Zekshan leaning against the wall, motionless. He seemed to have had some alcohol, leaning in the shadow, his eyes closed, his expression unclear, but for some reason, I felt that his mood was not good. I walked over and pushed him. "Hey, Zekshan." He half opened his eyes, glanced at me, and didn't say anything. At this moment, the rain became heavier, and people gradually dispersed. I took his arm and said, "Can you walk? I'll take you home." He gently pushed me away, his tone full of detachment. "Stay away from me." A dropped phone showed a bank's greeting text message. I was instantly stunned. Today is Zekshan's birthday, but he looks a bit unwell, as if he's still running a fever. My heart feels tight. I remember something. "Wait for me. I'll be back soon." A few minutes later, when I returned with the cake and fever medicine, I found Zekshan silently watching me through the rain. I waved excitedly at him and ran towards him. Suddenly, a lightning bolt streaked across the sky. In the instant the lightning flashed, I saw a person standing behind Zekshan, wearing a hood and a black mask. Just for a fleeting moment, the person rushed towards him. A sense of foreboding came to mind. "Zekshan, be careful." Instinctively, I threw myself at Zekshan. A sharp pain ran through my arm. I let out a cry of pain. The next moment, I was safely held in Zekshan's arms. A strong smell of blood filled the air. I muttered, "Help, I've been stabbed." Then my vision went black, and I fainted. When I woke up again, I was lying in a hospital room. The first thing I saw was Zekshan's pale face. I clutched my abdomen and said in a weak voice, "Am I about to die?" The doctor next to me smiled and said, "Don't worry, miss, your wound will be healed tomorrow." "But your boyfriend, his arm was cut pretty deep." I raised my hand, looking at the band-aid on my wrist. Thought for a while, then slowly looked at Zekshan. I noticed a thick bandage wrapped around his arm. The strong smell of blood was coming from him. I quickly got up and leaned over his wound, nervously asking, "Does it hurt?" Zekshan whispered, "It doesn't hurt." I touched his forehead again, and thank goodness, the fever had gone down. Zekshan avoided my touch, his eyes burning. "Why did you block for me just now?" The sudden question left me speechless. Maybe it was out of sympathy. Maybe out of other complex emotions, or perhaps I just didn't think he was the complete villain I had assumed. I avoided his gaze and chose a seemingly ordinary reason. "Because today is your birthday. By the way, I also want to celebrate your birthday. Where's my cake?" Zekshan suddenly grabbed my wrist, bent down and kissed. Unlike the previous life's aggressive lip-to-lip confrontation, this time, Zekshan's movements were gentle, even a bit careful. My mind went blank instantly, and I was frozen in place. His kissing me. Worse still, before I could react, I had already responded first. The situation quickly got out of control. Zekshan's fresh breath slowly wrapped around me. His index finger rested on my ear, gently caressing it. It wasn't just the ear, then came the hair, the cheek, like a crow's feather brushing the surface of water, creating ripples one after another. The air became a bit hot. My heart was about to jump out of my throat. Fireworks exploded in my mind, until all the air in my lungs was completely drained. I gasped for breath and barely escaped, my face burning red. Zekshan held me in his arms, his deep voice murmuring in my ear, "Don't make a noise, just be quiet for a while." The room became quiet. Only our unsteady heartbeats and breaths remained. I whispered, "Will you not take responsibility after kissing me?" After a brief silence, he responded quietly, "I won't." In the following days, I found out that Zekshan was very different from his previous self. He didn't have such heavy thoughts, and I didn't need to carefully maintain the relationship. Even most of the time, they obey me without question. I started to be more reckless. This couple location app, make sure to check in every day. Then I will know where you are. A quiet afternoon, Zekshan held my hands as I was causing trouble on him. "Okay," I again anxiously reminded, "make sure to do it every day. After 3 years you can get a bonus. Double when you get married and register the marriage." Zekshan's eyes were filled with a faint light. "Okay." When my brother rushed into the hospital room, he just saw this scene. "I'm so angry my voice is hoarse. Larashu, you get off him." The doctor walked in and said, "Family members of the patient, please come to the office." Zekshan got up skillfully and followed the doctor out. He didn't even give my brother a glance. For me, this is the first time I've seen my brother since my rebirth. Remembering that in my past life he suffered from depression and eventually died in a foreign country, my tears immediately came out. "Brother, I've missed you so much." My brother looked coldly and said angrily, "Don't think I'll let you off." "I don't agree with you and Zekshan." I choked back tears and looked up to explain something. My brother continued, "Zekshan and I, you can only choose one." Hearing him say that, I cried even harder. My brother took out a handkerchief and wiped my nose. "What are you crying for? It's only 3 days. Why are you so clingy?" I sniffled and said, "Brother, if I say I come from 10 years in the future, will you believe me?" My brother stiffened all over. And after meeting my fragile and anxious gaze, his expression suddenly became serious. "This is the first time I've had an emotional breakdown since my rebirth. Let out all of the things I suffered in my previous life. After hearing about his death, I married Zekshan." And the last bit of color vanished from my brother's face. His face was terrifyingly pale. "So, is it because I couldn't protect you, that you ended up following Zekshan and desperately trying to please him?" A soft click sound. The wind outside accidentally blew the hospital room door open. The room suddenly became so quiet that it made people feel uneasy. I felt something, and looked up. At the boundary between light and shadow, I saw Zekshan standing in a large shadow. His expression was calm. I don't know how long he had been there. Zekshan left. He didn't say a word. I was put under my brother's supervision, and my phone was taken away. My brother said he didn't want me to take risks. Since I didn't like Zekshan in my past life, it's just a normal relationship now. Only a few days. It's over. It's over. But, is my feeling for Zekshan really just a simple liking? Since my brother developed depression, the entire family's responsibilities fell on me. I often wash my face with tears, like a person trapped in darkness, unable to see the path or light. Later, I spent 3 years with Zekshan. They all say Zekshan is violent and cruel. For 3 years. He always fulfilled my requests. He never argued with me. On that rainy night when I was being chased, Zekshan placed me in a corner and left resolutely at that moment. Or on many nights after I became afraid of thunder, he never failed to return to the villa. Is my feelings also, in the invisible, corrupted? The phone's alert sound suddenly rang. I looked up and saw the phone lying on the table. It was my brother who forgot to take my phone. A software message alert popped up on the screen. "Your boyfriend is nearby." I was stunned. Has he never uninstalled it? My heart was gently moved. Without any hesitation, I put on my coat and rushed out of the hospital room. The window was still raining endlessly. The air was filled with an enduring dampness. I've lost some weight. And the loose patient gown hangs on me, empty and hollow. Following the phone's location, I parked at the entrance of a ward. Just before entering the room, I heard a woman's gentle voice, "Zeke. I'm feeling much better. You don't need to come see me." My hand froze in place. Zekshan spoke in a gentle tone. "Even if you're busy, you should come and visit you." The electronic display at the door showed the patient's information. Female, 28 years old, Shu Wenjun, not the same surname. He is even 1 year older than Zekshan. The courage I just gathered vanished instantly. My thoughts were in a mess, and without realizing it, I arrived at the nurse's station. The ex-boyfriend from bed 18 is back again. It's so pitiful. She's young and has a terminal illness. Yet her ex is still by her side. The key point is, the expensive medical bills, he paid without blinking. I heard he runs a company. He's rich. I came to my senses and called out to the aunt nearby. "Excuse me, are they really?" The aunt looked at me with my reddened eyes, as if she understood something. "Girl, you can't chase after someone who already has a place in their heart." My heart gradually sank. The memory of past lives and this life, connected together. I suddenly seemed to understand everything. That's why Zekshan changed after experiencing a bankruptcy. Because Shu Wenjun had died, I went back to life and unilaterally helped Zekshan. But I never considered that maybe he didn't need me. I said thanks, wiped my tears, and walked back towards the elevator, turned a corner, having eye contact with Zekshan as he came out of the ward. Rain had stopped at some point. The moon peered out from the clouds with half its face. It cast a thin layer of pale light in the corridor. A sharp pain came from my chest, and without much thinking, I turned and ran. "Lara Shu," Zekshan's voice, filled with anger, came from behind me as if he was chasing after me. I was wearing slippers and couldn't run fast. He stopped me after taking a few steps. What are you doing here? I held back my tears. I came for a walk. You ran all the way from the next building to take a walk. Clap. Tears fell uncontrollably onto his palm. I won't tell anyone. From now on, I won't bother you anymore. My brother and I will stay far away from you. After saying that, I felt Zekshan fall into an eerie calm. The ominous feeling from the past once again overwhelmed me. Lara Shu, how afraid are you that I will take revenge on you? So much that you want to cut all ties completely? I bit my lip and said nothing. Zekshan grabbed my chin and lifted it, shouting fiercely, "Speak. Don't be afraid of me." Meeting his sinister gaze, I shivered. Zekshan's eyes were dark and swirling, like a terrible storm brewing. If what you say is true, I will be in that position in the future. Lara Shu, remember, I won't forgive you. I'll haunt you endlessly. You'll never get away. My heart aches. Things have circled back, and we're back to the beginning. Then what is the meaning of everything I've done? Zeke, a woman's voice eased the tense atmosphere. What are you doing? She's a girl. Speak to her more gently. Shu Wenjun's face was pale and frail, and a cold moonlight happened to shine through the window slats, wrapping her frail figure in a glow. Like a fairy who accidentally entered the mortal world, she pushed Zekshan slightly, pulling me away from him. Zekshan indeed let go, his face calm as he said, "Sister, this is between me and her." Still with tears in my eyes, I looked at Shu Wenjun in confusion. "Sister," she smiled slightly, "this is the first time I've seen Zeke bring a girl to see me. Are you Zeke's girlfriend?" Until I sat by Shu Wenjun's bed, I still felt like I was dreaming. Shu Wenjun handed me a peeled apple. She said with a smile, "I kicked Zeke out. You take your time eating, no rush." It's obvious that she is happy. I couldn't refuse her kindness, took a bite, and pointed at the words on the screen. "That name. Did you say her family name?" Shu Wenjun said softly, "I am Zeke's half-sister from the same father. I take my mother's surname." "Ah, I'm sorry. I feel guilty for my previous wild guesses." Shu Wenjun shook her head. "Zeke probably didn't tell you anything about his family. At that time, my father was a prominent figure in City A, before Zeke was born. He raped my mother and had me." My chest felt tight, and I was a bit at a loss. Shu Wenjun, however, seemed very calm. "When I was taken back home, Zeke really hated me. Later, the family went bankrupt, and our father died in prison. He was framed for debts that were owed, which were then transferred to Zeke's mother. Zeke's mother hanged herself. For these years, it's just been the two of us relying on each other. I felt as if someone had grabbed my throat, and I couldn't say a word. Zekshan has never told me about these things. It's only now that I've come to understand his past." Shu Wenjun smiled at me. "I can probably guess why he doesn't date girls, but I probably won't last much longer, and I won't be a burden to you guys." I grabbed Shu Wenjun's hand, as if grasping a lifeline. "Don't do that. Without you, he would go mad." Thinking back to the past, when he finally went mad and took revenge on everyone, even at the cost of self-destruction, I still feel shaken. "I know what you're afraid of." Shu Wenjun took my hand, "but I want to say, Zeke has never been a bad kid." Zekshan walked in and interrupted our conversation. "Sister, it's getting late. I'll come see you another time." Shu Wenjun repeatedly told Zekshan, "Be kind to Lara." Zekshan paused. "I understand." It was already late at night when we left the hospital room. Zekshan took my hand and we walked down the empty corridor. Footsteps echoed between the white walls. I felt a bit heavy-hearted, wanting to explain but not knowing where to start. "Shandash, shut up." Zekshan's voice was almost cold. He pulled me, and I couldn't keep up, so in a panic I shouted, "You're walking too fast. I can't keep up." Zekshan stopped, and slowed his pace. When I returned to the ward, the nurse greeted Zekshan kindly. "Mr. Shan is back again." I was completely confused. What does that mean? Does Zekshan come to see me every day? Meeting my gaze. Zekshan still kept a cold face and threw me into the ward. Click. The door was locked. I was disoriented and hadn't yet steadied myself when he pushed me onto the sofa. "I'll ask you once more, why did you come to me tonight?" Zekshan's gaze was too sharp, as if he were going to see through me, forced me to look away. Whispering, "I came to confess my feelings, but I ended up seeing you in someone else's hospital room." Misunderstanding. The next second, Zekshan forcefully covered my mouth. A constant taking, invading, and advancing step by step, he showed no shame in concealing his desire. approaching me so openly and aggressively. My voice was trembling, and my hands helplessly pushed against his chest. I haven't finished speaking. Zekshan's hand cupped my face. I don't care, Lara Shu. You've told too many lies. I don't want to hear them. Seeing that he seemed about to continue, I furrowed my brow and stopped his action. Don't you believe me? I don't believe anyone. And I won't give you any chance to retreat. In Zekshan's world, love is never about letting someone go free, but about possession. Just like tonight, the summer night wind moves the white gauze, the white waves rise and fall, like rippling waves, gently licking the glass bottle by the window, as if barely there. It was quickly pushed to the edge, wobbling, helpless, and isolated. At some hot moment, it fell into the endless night, and finally, it crashed to the ground. A patch of oil spreads on the ground. Zekshan, you can't do this here. My voice was almost hoarse, guided by his hand, forced to look into his deep eyes. Did another me do this as well? My face turned slightly red, and my eyes were hazy. All reactions told him the answer, but apparently, this answer did not improve his mood, even stirred up a strong sense of jealousy. Do you like this a lot? Zekshan doesn't give me any chance to catch my breath, pulling me back into the depths of desire. Then open your eyes and watch. Lara Shu, you are mine. A few days later, Zekshan took me out of the hospital. In the face of my brother's protest, he just gave a cold smile, and he locked me in the car in front of him. My brother was devastated. Lara, do you really like him? I leaned against the car window and whispered, Bro, I'm sorry. Once I resolve this, I'll come back to you. Zekshan seemed to have become himself again 10 years later, silent, yet surprisingly strong-willed. He put a ring on my finger. The craftsmanship is exquisite, with a small, delicate pink diamond set on top. There seems to be some engraving on the ring. I long for you more than anything else. Zekshan wore a plain ring of the same style. Then he took me to various banquets, announced our relationship in public. Since Zekshan's company did not go bankrupt in the first round, it became even more powerful. Plus, my brother has ceased hostilities with Zekshan, for a moment. No one dared to challenge them, however. Because of those words, there has always been a rift between Zekshan and me. Counting it up, he has been going out early and coming back late every day, and it's been half a month since we last met. I tried to block him several times, but all ended in failure. That day, I unexpectedly started packing my luggage. Have someone pass a message to Zekshan. I'm going home. The sunset gradually slid into the horizon. The villa was gradually covered by darkness. A soft click sound. Zekshan came back early tonight. His movements when he opened the door were slightly hurried. A loud bang. The living room was as bright as day. I was lying on the sofa, and because of the backrest. He didn't notice me. Lara, Zekshan called out, then went upstairs. As expected, he would see the empty bedroom and dressing table. The waiting time was especially slow. Zekshan walked out of the bedroom, seeming to be full of exhaustion. He held the railing, closed his eyes, and masked the gloom in his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, he met my gaze from the sofa below. I was holding a sweet wine and greeted him with a blurred look from being drunk. What are you looking for? A few minutes later, Zekshan helped me up from the sofa. My hands were trembling slightly. I could clearly feel that Zekshan wanted to stab me with a knife. The light around me wavered, and my neck went weak. My head fell with a thud onto his shoulder. Zekshan supported my head and said in a low voice, "Why didn't you leave?" I mumbled lazily. My brother had a meeting today and couldn't make it, but he said tomorrow. My wrist suddenly hurt, and Zekshan seemed to be holding back something. I changed to a more comfortable position. But I don't plan to stay at home. Will you pick me up tomorrow night? Zekshan was stunned. Are you coming back? His ambivalent attitude over these days suddenly made me feel a surge of impulse. People's actions often have more persuasive power than their words. I grabbed his tie and used it to climb onto his shoulders. My hands crossed behind his neck, and I tilted my head to gently kiss him. Zekshan's breath suddenly becomes irregular. Tense arms firmly press against my lower back. Let me kiss him freely. I've been waiting for you a long time. My voice was filled with, but if you don't talk to me, are you going to break up with me when you get home? Zekshan didn't move, as if a statue, standing in the darkness. His dark eyes stared at me. I'm not. I didn't, I sighed. I'm worried about my brother, and liking you doesn't conflict with that. Zekshan, I really like you. I don't want to leave you. Zekshan gently rested his head in the crook of my neck, staying silent for a long time before saying, "They all say that, but no one has ever kept their promise." Zekshan's voice was as soft as it could possibly be. "My father said he loved me, but he betrayed the family. My mother said she loved me, but after the debt collectors came, she pushed me out of the door and chose to commit suicide to escape. Shu Wenjun said he loved me, but on the day I graduated, he signed the consent form to stop treatment behind my back. Everyone around me has left me in different ways. How can I believe you?" This sentence was like a thorn, deeply pricking into my heart. My heart suddenly started hurting, throbbing painfully. I returned to life, and I suddenly understood his life. He has always been losing. Zekshan pressed my body into his arms. "So I won't have any expectations from you. As long as you stay by my side, it's enough." I touched his head and asked, "Then, are you going to get married?" Zekshan looked up in surprise. His breathing became very light. "Married? I thought carefully. Although marriage can't give you absolute promises, for now, I can't think of a better way to make you believe me. After all, we've already married once. Marrying again, what's the problem?" Zekshan seemed to be frozen by a spell, and didn't speak for a long time. My heart has already started to panic. Getting married 10 years early. Zekshan's future property should be split with me half. Although I'm not here for the money, just thinking about it makes my mouth hard to control. Seeing Zekshan's expression of being stunned, I suddenly felt guilty. Proposing like this is a bit forward. Should I kneel to Zekshan? He won't refuse, will he? The clock in the corner moves second by second. The midnight bell strikes at 12. Zekshan lowered his eyes and said softly, "Okay, don't lie to me." The first day I brought Zekshan home, my brother almost threw a spatula at him. "Get out, I don't want you in my house." I blocked Zekshan and got soy sauce all over my face. "Bro, I want to marry him. Has the old man agreed? Does it need your agreement? And you're not my old man." Zekshan was protected behind me, taking out a tissue to wipe the filth off me, looking coldly at my brother, not willing to retreat even a step. The first step faced great resistance, and I got 2 pimples on my chin, finally. The neighbor peeked out to look on, and my brother, feeling embarrassed, let the 2 of us in. This was Zekshan's first time coming to my house. I alternated between passing a fruit and bringing a glass of water. Zekshan suddenly pressed on me. "Don't move, eat something." The next moment, a sweet watermelon was shoved into my mouth. My brother exploded. "That's my watermelon for my sister." Zekshan, with a cold face, said, "Oh, thanks brother." My brother looked like he had eaten something disgusting. "Lara, stay away from him. He's a despicable person." "You too." Seeing the atmosphere was wrong, I immediately called a stop, played the role of a mediator. "Bro, why did you call him a despicable person?" My older brother, wearing an apron, let out a cold laugh and said, "Spreading rumors that I stole his scholarship. What's more despicable than that?" "Yes, I didn't like you back then, but Shu Jiaqing would never stab someone in the back. If you let people like you thrive, who knows what kind of trouble you'll bring later." No wonder, ever since Zekshan started his business, my older brother has been deliberately targeting him. Zekshan snorted, "I wouldn't even bother spreading a rumor about a trashy person like you." "You, stop. I'm getting a headache from all the noise." "Bro, how did you know the rumor was spread by him?" "Shu Qingming told me," my brother said with disdain. "Do you need any evidence for that?" Zekshan didn't even blink, sneered coldly, and didn't respond. My brother's face was very grim. Because this matter was indeed his fault. I asked, "Who took his scholarship?" "How should I know? Ask him who he provoked." Zekshan said, "Shu Qingming." My brother's anger vanished into thin air. The living room fell into an eerie silence. The 2 of them stared at each other silently. Zekshan said, "If I'm not mistaken, he is still your current partner." My brother sighed and got up to go to the kitchen. "I know." The truce came unexpectedly. I hadn't reacted yet. "Hey, what did you know?" Zekshan touched my head without saying a word. It was obvious that he was in a good mood. The way Zekshan and my brother interacted next became a bit strange. They stopped fighting. Can still speak a few stiff sentences. On the way home, I finally couldn't resist asking, "What's going on between you and my brother?" Zekshan said, "Some misunderstandings have been cleared up. A few sentences solved it." I regret it so much. My intestines are green. If I had known it was so simple, when I first came back, I should have tied Zekshan and my brother together, letting them confess their feelings to each other. Thinking about what my brother told me before I left, I've been staying safely at Ziekshan's house. Don't wander off. I feel more confused. Until I was almost back home, I got back on track. Does that mean we can get married? Ziekshan suddenly stopped. I collided with him unexpectedly. Ziekshan was standing in the entrance, not yet having changed his shoes. He pulled me in, held me against the shoe cabinet, and unfastened his tie and cuffs in one smooth motion. Are you really going to marry me? Ziekshan seems to be in a good mood tonight. Certainly, there's not much of a conflict between me and your brother, but I can't get along with him either. I want to know, if I can't stand your brother, what would you do? I was mentally cursing. Petty. What's the difference between asking me which one to save if both of us fell into the water? I don't stutter when I speak. Of course I choose you. I can't spend my life taking care of my brother. As long as the two of you don't have too big of a conflict, I'll be at ease. Ziekshan didn't give me a chance to continue speaking. He grabbed the back of my neck and leaned down to kiss me. He made me dizzy and weak, and he carried me into the bedroom. The next few days were the most comfortable days of my life in years. If it wasn't for Xu Mingqing appearing in front of me again, I would have almost forgotten about this person. Lara, I haven't agreed to break up yet. When Xu Mingqing spoke, I was bent over looking at cakes in the window, looking up at this somewhat unfamiliar face. It took me a while to remember his name. After all, breaking up has already been 10 years ago for me. I straightened up and frowned, saying, "You cheated. I don't need your permission to break up." Xu Mingqing's eyes suddenly darkened. He grabbed me. "You haven't even broken up yet and you're already getting involved with Ziekshan. How can you say you haven't betrayed me?" I was startled by him. "Get away. I have photos of you cheating. It's been at least 2 months. How can you dare to scold me?" Xu Qingming laughed coldly. "I was just playing around. Unlike you, a slut. You're already getting married to him." A big hand suddenly reached over and tightly grabbed Xu Qingming's wrist. "Try touching one more time." Xu Mingqing let out a scream. His face turned pale instantly. Ziekshan rescued me from him and pushed me towards my brother. Immediately after, my brother started shouting, "Look at this. The cheater is playing the victim, bullying my sister. It's unheard of. He cheated and said it was just for fun. But when my sister asked for a breakup, it was suddenly her fault." The people around me all raised their phones. I silently covered my face. I hid behind Ziekshan, afraid of being in the frame. Xu Mingqing was defeated, but became even more arrogant. "Lara Xu, do you really think I'm that easy to fool? You wait, one day I'll make you beg me on your knees." Saying that, he turned around, pushed through the crowd, and left in a huff. Ziekshan bent down to check my wrist. "Does it hurt?" I shook my head. I'm used to seeing him and my brother together. On the way back, I sat in the front passenger seat eating ice cream. My brother and Ziekshan had a casual conversation. "Don't delay things. Since you've signed the contract, it's better to finish it early and save yourself some trouble." I just processed the information from our previous conversation. "What contract did you sign?" my brother said lazily. "Oh, we collaborated. We invested together to establish a new company called Shinha." I was stunned for a second, then screamed, "Shinha, yes, Shinha." My brother's lazy smile concealed an unstoppable sharpness. "Lara, you won't imagine how brilliant Shinha's future will be." I can certainly imagine. 10 years later, this monstrous entity born from capital exploitation will become an uncontrollable beast and destroy the economy and foundation of City A. I never mentioned these details to them. The fact is, everything is moving in the direction of the past life's predetermined path. The credit union was still established. The only difference this time is that the notorious villain has become 2. The extra one is my brother. That night, I brought the 2 of them together. I told them everything I knew from my past life in detail. 10 years after the past life, there was a sharp increase in laid-off population in City A. Some small businesses were in debt and went bankrupt, and the number of suicides surged. That was also the year when hospitals were filled with grieving families. Some people wore mourning clothes and knelt on the road, cursing Shinha. Ziekshan and my brother remained surprisingly calm after hearing it. My brother said, "Lara, have you ever thought that the real problem is others?" Others. Ziekshan wrote down several surnames on the paper, said, "A city has been prosperous for decades, and several major families have continued to this day, controlling the city's lifeline. Do you think, when the balance is broken, what will they do? If it were you, what would you do?" I was looking at the small credit union outside the stable relationship, as if something had gripped my throat. I'll do whatever it takes to make it disappear. My brother's expression was somewhat silent. He circled the Shu family. He also lightly marked an X. The same approach applies to the rebels. After hearing those words, a chill from deep within instantly ran through me. I only know that my parents died when I was very young. For so many years, my brother never told me the cause of their death. But now, my brother is looking at me with intense eyes. From the moment you prophesied that I would suffer from depression, I knew that my plan would eventually fail 10 years later. I couldn't fight them, and I might have no choice but to reluctantly entrust you to Zekshan. After all, with my personality, even if I die, I would never push you into a fire pit. So I assume Zekshan and I are on the same page. Too much information flooded my mind, and I was momentarily stunned in place. So, you've allowed me to be with him these days because, trust. My brother looked like he had eaten a dead fly and was too angry to speak. I suddenly understood. The clues from past lives add up, and everything makes sense now. Zekshan and my brother have the same goal. They both want to eliminate the control of the city by the various families and bring those lawless people to justice. Zekshan is just too suspicious. My brother also dislikes Zekshan because of Shu Qingming's interference in the past. So, for the past 10 years, the two of them never formed an alliance. They were in a state of fighting separately. Finally, my brother failed and developed depression, left me in the care of Zekshan, who was still struggling to hold on. So the suicide note I saw from the past was probably not written by Zekshan when he was contemplating death. More likely, Zekshan had already fallen into a desperate situation and was trying to take those people down with him. Figuring this out, my mood gradually became heavy. The future path is not easy, it's even extremely dangerous. What kind of person could put both Zekshan and my brother in such a desperate situation? Zekshan looked like he was startled, threw down his pen, and gave me an order to leave. Okay, we're going to sleep. Don't you have a home? Go back, my brother. After the typhoon passed, the rainy season in City finally ended. I married Zekshan. This incident caused quite a stir. Beneath the seemingly peaceful atmosphere, there were undercurrents of tension. Recently, the hospital changed Xu Wenjun's treatment plan. She looks visibly more energetic. I have nothing to do, so I go to the hospital every day. At this moment, Xu Wenjun is staring at a cupcake. Lara, do you think you can finish all this? He can eat it all. Zekshan likes to eat, and you like to eat too, so making 2 portions is just right. Xu Wenjun was stunned after hearing it. When did Zeke start liking sweet things? He has always liked to eat. I blinked. He just eats it. It's easier than feeding a dog. The neighbor's dog always picks its flavor carefully. Xu Wenjun seemed to have thought of something, and let out a laugh. Try the brownie. Add some more sugar. That night, my brother took the first bite and immediately spat it out. Lara Xu, you don't fear diabetes. Not for you to eat. I rolled my eyes and handed a piece to Zekshan. You like sweet things. Right. This time I improved it. My brother was stunned for a second. Then he chuckled. Zekshan, you wife's sincere heart. Don't try it. Zekshan froze. He picked up the fork and stuffed it into his mouth without blinking, swallowing it in my brother's surprised gaze. That's good. His cooking is good. When I was about to give him the second piece, my brother grabbed me. Don't push him. He doesn't add sugar to his coffee. If he eats another piece, he might get diabetes. I took a full second to react, remembering Xu Wenjun's question, realizing it too late. You don't like sweet food. Zekshan fell silent. Like it, the few seconds of silence were enough to say everything. My brother laughed. Bro, you really did it. Because of this, I felt defeated for a long time. After all, in my previous life, I always thought it was because I was diligently making small cakes that I won Zekshan's heart. Then, if it wasn't the small cakes, why did he actually like me? This mystery will never be solved anymore. A few days later, Xu Wenjun was discharged from the hospital and was taken home. It's a busy season, and neither I nor Xu Wenjun can go anywhere, so we ended up playing games at home. The originally quiet villa suddenly became lively, because she always argues with my brother over games. That day, the two of them argued again. I was full and satisfied, lying on Zekshan's back, feeling drowsy. Seeing me frown, Zekshan picked me up and took me upstairs. How are you and my brother preparing? After I washed up, I was so tired I couldn't keep my eyes open. Zekshan sat on the edge of the bed and touched my head. Don't worry, everything is fine. Then, after everything is over, Let's go on a honeymoon. We can first travel around Europe, then lie on the small islands in the south and sunbathe. Zekshan smiled. The plane tickets are already booked. You two go ahead first. He said it so casually, but it woke me up halfway. What do you mean? Zekshan's eyes were filled with something. He just smiled. In this way, both me and your brother can act without any worries. I know, they are about to make a move. I understand. Staying here any longer will only be a burden. I hugged Zekshan tightly and mumbled, we just got married. Zekshan understood what I meant, and he comforted me by patting my back. I know, I'll finish early and come back to you. On the day I left, Zekshan couldn't come to see me off. I got into the prepared car with Shu Wenjun, heading to the airport. Looking at the gradually shrinking villa, I tried to open my puffy eyes. Thinking about taking one last look, Shu Wenjun squeezed my hand and said, Lara, take a little rest. I'll wake you up when we get to the airport. I hadn't slept all night. And after Shu Wenjun said that, I felt sleepy and dozed off on her shoulder. I don't know how much time had passed, but I woke up dazed and found that the car was already speeding through the wilderness. I immediately woke up. Sudden movement caught Shu Wenjun's attention. What's wrong, Lara? Shu Wenjun has always been in the hospital and is not familiar with the surrounding geography. But I am. This isn't the way to the airport. In my previous life, when I was driving home with Zekshan, we were involved in a chain collision in a tunnel. Someone wants to take advantage of Zekshan. Zekshan placed me in a corner to distract people, and he didn't return all night. And now, the tunnel is right in front of us. A sense of foreboding came over me. Stop. My voice sounded slightly sharp. Unfortunately, the driver seemed deaf, stepped on the gas, and rushed into the dark tunnel. Everything felt like a past life. The car was thrown into the air and rolled over. It crashed heavily against the wall on one side of the tunnel, making a loud noise. After the smoke cleared, intense pain gradually spread throughout my body. I heard the sound of footsteps and someone calling 120. I immediately looked at Shu Wenjun. Her face was pale, obviously frightened. Fortunately, no one was stuck. I tried to move my body to get out of the deformed car, then I turned back and pulled Shu Wenjun out. She gasped, "It hurts." I saw that her lower leg was bleeding heavily. A few men appeared in the distance, wearing baseball caps, getting out of a jeep and walking towards us. The same scene made me alert in an instant, grabbing Shu Wenjun and running deeper into the tunnel. Passing by a secluded corner, I didn't hesitate for a moment, and I pushed Shu Wenjun into it. This is where I hid in my previous life. As long as you don't make a sound, those people won't find you. I'll distract them. Shu Wenjun was clearly startled after hearing that, but she knew that being injured would only slow me down, so she nodded firmly. I turned and ran toward the other end of the tunnel. I now had a sense of direction. If everything develops the same as before, I just need to follow the direction Zekshan left, and I can safely escape. Thinking about this, I couldn't help but quicken my pace. Behind me, Shu Qingming's voice said, "She's here, come over." I ran out of the tunnel with all my strength. When I saw the black car blocking the tunnel entrance, it felt like I had fallen into an icy cave. They were already waiting for me here. I stopped in my tracks and tried to suppress the trembling in my hands. "What do you want?" Shu Mingqing approached slowly, a mocking smile on his face. "Of course, we want to make you suffer a bit." Then, several bodyguards suddenly appeared beside me and pushed me to the ground. Shu Mingqing smiled and took a laser pointer from someone else, waving it over my face. "Lara, are you blind? What's so bad about me compared to Zekshan?" He grasped my chin and pointed the laser pen into my eyes, his eyes flashing with a fierce look. At the moment he was about to press the switch, someone approached. "Mr. Shu," the other line called. From the receiver came Zekshan's urgent voice. "Don't touch her. Whatever you want, I can give it to you. But she must not have a single hair harmed." Shu Mingqing smirked. "Okay, trade your eyes for hers. When you go blind, I'll let her go." I interjected, emotionally. "Don't listen to him. Even if I go blind, even if I die, I'll never ask him a single word." Shu Mingqing's presence here can only mean that they are desperate. My brother and Zekshan are likely to win. But Zekshan didn't respond to me. He said, "I promise you." Only a painful groan was heard from the other end. It seems someone has attacked Zekshan. Shu Mingqing coldly frowned, playing with his laser pen, and ordered the other, "I want you to shine it until he goes blind." Upon hearing this, I was struck by lightning. several fragmented scenes from my past life flashed through my mind. When I was rescued by the police that year, I saw Zekshan standing not far away, watching me from a distance. His clothes were slightly dusty. There wasn't a single place on his body that was bleeding. I just thought it was a night without any danger. But from that day on, Zekshan never stood in the sunlight again. And he never looked me in the eye again. When I lit his birthday candles, his cold gaze, in countless nights, he was hiding in the shadows, staring at my hollow, terrifying eyes, all of which revealed a fact. One of his eyes was gone after he returned. This discovery was like a silver needle, piercing my chest through the distant past lives. I suddenly understood what had happened on the night Zekshan left the tunnel. He blinded one of his eyes to protect me. My tears fell instantly. I almost threw myself at the phone, shouting hysterically, "Stop, I won't let you touch him." Shu Mingqing pulled my hair back. "Lara, you're really lucky, he took your place, so you don't have to suffer." I cried until my voice was gone, Zekshan's voice, yet it sounded calm and composed. "Take it easy, it won't hurt." Suddenly, several police cars rushed up from the mountain below with great momentum. Shu Qingming's face suddenly turned dark. He muttered under his breath, "Damn it. How did they get here so fast?" My older brother acted quickly and was the first to jump out of the car. "Let her go, soon." A police officer's cold voice rang out, "Shu Qingming, everyone outside has already been arrested. I advise you to surrender quietly." The twist came so quickly. This group of people was tied to the ground before they could react. I rushed forward in panic, my voice trembling. "Brother, Zekshan." My brother comforted me. "Don't worry, he has help on his side. He won't get hurt." I choked, unable to speak through my tears. "Brother, hurry and take him to the hospital." My brother's face turned pale, realizing something was wrong, and he immediately picked up the phone to call. "What's the situation on the other end?" The other end of the phone came a worried voice. "Mr. Shun's eyes were just exposed to prolonged laser exposure and have been urgently taken to the hospital." "What did the doctor say?" The other person paused for a moment and answered in a low voice. The doctor said, "The situation is not very optimistic. There is a possibility of blindness." When I saw Zekshan in the hospital, he was sitting in a dim corner, looking down, showing an aloof and unapproachable coldness. This scene suddenly overlapped with a past life. I walked up to him and called out with a trembling voice, "Zekshan." He raised his head. It seemed to take great effort to focus his gaze on my face. I slowly embraced him, and tears flowed like a broken dam. Zekshan grasped my back, tightening his hold as if wanting to merge me into his bones. A moment later, he spoke softly, "Lara Shu, we break off our engagement." I was instantly stunned, a wave of disbelief surging through my heart. "What did you say again?" Zekshan's gaze was very calm, piercing through me, appearing somewhat hollow. "Your brother will choose a better person for you, healthier, more gentle than me." I saw that his ring finger no longer had a ring, and a sudden surge of anger rose up, yet there was nowhere to vent it. I had to pin him in the chair, searching in a disorganized and chaotic way. Finally, I found the ring turned into a necklace inside his shirt. "What is this?" I asked, suppressing my anger. Zekshan held my hand and said, "Lara Shu, I'm not a good person. I'm selfish and obsessive." Many years later, "If you start to dislike my eyes, I can't promise what I might do," I said. "How could I dislike your eyes? It's because of me." Zekshan interrupted me. "The debt of life-saving is the root of resentment in a relationship. From now on, every time we argue, you might keep giving in and compromising because of this favor. Are you sure you won't resent me because of this?" I opened my mouth, but I was about to cry from anger. "That's a twisted logic. I'm just laying out the possibilities of the future," Zekshan said with a smile. "Lara, I don't disbelieve you. I just don't believe in human nature. Only when you see the path ahead can you know how to make a choice." I looked at his face with that smile, and I really wanted to hit him. He's fallen into his old habits again, suspicious and sensitive, also petty. I guess that in his previous life, he didn't give me two options, probably because my brother became a mental patient, and no one could arrange a backup plan for me. So, he even kept the fact that I was blind a secret, eliminating all possibilities of me leaving. But things are different now. His eye condition couldn't be hidden, so he just broke the silence. "Give me a clear answer." I angrily pulled the ring off his neck and put it back on his ring finger. "Shut up. How bold of you to expect me to accommodate you, Zekshan." after a brief silence, changed from his previous coldness and laughed softly. Sitia completed a new round of reshuffling after a rainy season. The tangled roots beneath the soil, which had been lying low, were uprooted in one go, majestic and formidable. 1 year later, the city showed a completely new appearance. At the same time in the clinic, the doctor took off his rubber gloves and turned off the examination equipment. Mr. Shen's right eye has fully recovered. While his left eye's vision is slightly worse than that of an average person, it is recommended that you pay attention to rest in daily life. Zikshan nodded. Thank you. I cautiously poked his eyelid. Then waved 2 fingers. Is the glitter on my nail polish coral pink or cherry pink? Zikshan. At that moment, I was still excited. I think the previous question was too hard. How about this? You must be able to tell the difference between pink and orange. Let me show you my lipstick shade. Zikshan took me away from the clinic, calling me a bunch of nonsense. He led me around the corner. He bent down and gently kissed my lips. Then he looked up and said, orange flavor. I muttered in complaint. I'm not testing your sense of taste. Zikshan smiled as I took out my lipstick from my bag and filled in the missing part, speaking up to remind, hurry up. They might get impatient. 1 year ago today, I got married to Zikshan. Today is our wedding anniversary. Due to special circumstances, we didn't have a wedding ceremony, so I decided to have the wedding this year. The development of the credit union is booming, and it has invited many industry celebrities. My brother is extremely busy. If I'm late today, he will definitely give me a hard time. As expected, as soon as I got off the bus, my brother called. Where are we? I have a meeting this afternoon. I can't drink alcohol. Let that guy Zikshan go instead. I hurriedly pushed Zikshan in to accompany him. Then I rushed to the back to change into a suit. Makeup and styling were already ready. Shu Wenjun has been waiting for a long time and immediately directed people to bring over the formal attire when she saw me. Actually, I don't want the schedule to be so tight either. Zikshan is extremely busy, and he went home only after midnight yesterday. Today I have to see a doctor and then go abroad in the evening to discuss business. Take me on a trip to Europe as well. In the end, we had to squeeze the ceremony into the afternoon. Fortunately, with Shu Wenjun's help, I changed my clothes quickly. I thought I wouldn't be nervous, but when I stood at the end of the long path and looked at Zikshan bathed in light, my heart still couldn't help but beat wildly. It was springtime then. Warm and gentle sunlight fell on the grass, and on everyone present. Zikshan stood in the center of the room, watching me as I walked towards him from a distance. The spring breeze was warm, and I joyfully reached his side. Then, as countless times before, I skillfully took his hand, accepting all the blessings from family and guests. At this moment, I suddenly feel like it's another world. The broken and wounded lives seem to be fading from my life. The current happiness is gradually becoming solid. It is becoming within reach. The breeze is just right. The master of ceremonies spoke in a calm and steady voice, calling on the guests present to witness our future together. When he asked, Mr. Shen, do you wish to spend your life with Miss Shu? Zikshan fell silent. The whole place fell into silence. I looked up, slightly confused, and looked at Zikshan. He seemed to be momentarily distracted. Hey, are you not fully awake? I gently shook his hand, and Zikshan looked at me as if waking up from a deep dream, making eye contact. A sense of familiarity that had transcended time came over me. It made me slightly startled. Mr. Shen, the host called out again. Zikshan blinked for a moment, quickly regained his composure, and smiled. I do. 17 Zikshan's previous life side story. In my memory, City A had never experienced such a long rainy season. At night, the sound of rain was drizzling outside the window. Lara Shu next to me was already asleep, in her long, steady breathing. Zikshan gradually found a sense of calm and peace. Tonight is their wedding night. Perhaps because it was cold, Lara Shu moved closer in her sleep. Compared to when she was awake, she seemed particularly bold now. Zikshan gently pulled her into his arms and closed his eyes. He hasn't had a good night's sleep for a long time. Several old forces in City A have become more rampant. They even dumped sewage onto the credit union. Almost every day, he receives various public opinion reports. He has been fighting for 10 whole years, and originally, he could have lasted longer. Just yesterday, one of his eyes had already become completely blind, and the remaining right eye's vision was gradually deteriorating. He almost revealed the clue during the meeting. Perhaps in the near future, He will go completely blind. The time left for him is not much. He felt the soft body in his arms, and a sense of regret arose in his heart. He did not intend to tell her the truth. It would only increase her panic, and there would be no other benefits. Shu Jiaqing had made him swear that he would always protect Lara Shu well, but Zixan knew that he himself, who was blind in both eyes, would not be able to protect her well, so in the end, there was only one way left. That was to sacrifice his life and die with those people. He made a will and set the wedding date. Lara Shu seemed a bit scared, but Zixan didn't have time to explain. Once the business war starts, it cannot be stopped. The final result of this struggle is either you die or I die. Zixan wants to ensure that after he leaves, Madame Shen's title can still support Lara Shu in using the people in his hands to take the inheritance and leave City A. She may not be very smart, but when it comes to matters of life and death, she always understands clearly. Zixan won't deliberately try to figure out what kind of feelings Lara Shu has for him. He seemed to have lost the ability to feel love. He also lost the ability to love others. After Shu Wenjun's death, he completely shut himself off. He stopped giving and contributing, becoming a greedy, insatiable madman. He enjoyed Lara Shu's kindness towards him, and did everything possible to hide the fact about his eyes, blocking all possibilities for her to leave him. He really isn't a good person. Perhaps after getting the inheritance, Lara Shu would even spit on his grave. Zixan was lost in thought. Completely unaware of the now cold body in his arms, by the time he realized something was wrong, it was too late. That night, Shen's residence was brightly lit. Poison was found in Lara Shu's body. It was applied to the lipstick she often used. Zixan held Lara Shu for a long time. He couldn't understand why his miserable life still led to a worse outcome. Lara Shu's body turned into a small tombstone. It was buried next to Shu Wenjun. Zixan stood in front of her, not speaking for a long time. The last person in the world who was willing to give him love was gone. For the next 3 years, those people endured Zixan's increasingly intense anger. He had completely gone mad, attack them day and night, no matter the consequences, no matter the means. No one can withstand his almost self-destructive retaliation. Until they were arrested, Xinha's life had already come to an end. At the end of 3 years of turmoil, Xinhe announced bankruptcy. On the same day, Zixan woke up in the morning and never saw the sun again. He was completely blind. Perhaps he had foreseen this day, and Zixan's reaction was very calm. He was thoroughly disgusted with this fickle and unfeeling world. Heaven had given him everything, and then took it all away. He lived through a life of no meaning, and it's time for him to reach the end. That day, he climbed onto the rooftop. The wind was very strong. Zixan couldn't see, so he just kept moving forward blindly. He knew that in some uncertain next moment, he would suddenly step off and fall into a deep abyss. This was the ending he had chosen for himself. There's nothing to be afraid of. It was just the last moment of his life. And suddenly the face of Lara Shu appeared in his mind, slightly regretful. After his death, no one would be able to bury him. He could not be buried beside Lara Shu. But seeing Lara Shu might take some effort. However, it probably wasn't anything too difficult. He took a step forward and walked ahead. The wind of the open field blew from the sky, playing a farewell song for him. At a certain moment, Zixan suddenly felt weightless, as if waking up from a big dream. "Hey, are you not awake yet?" Blinding sunlight poured down from the tree branches. That familiar voice carried a tone of coquetry, along with a bit of slight dissatisfaction. He was stunned. Looking into the eyes etched into his soul, like a pebble gently dropped into a deep pond, it instantly scattered the accumulated silt. In an instant, the water surged, the memories of past and present gradually overlapped. 10 hurried years, it's just a brief nightmare under the warm spring. Waking up, he is still himself. Today is their first anniversary, and also their make-up wedding. In the audience, Shu Wenjun and Shu Jiaqing are smiling and nodding at him. "Mr. Shun." The MC's voice brought his attention back. It was only for a short moment, but Zixan regained his composure. He took Lara Shu's hand and said with a smile, "I do."